Hi everyone, my name is Filiberto. Welcome to this podcast, Voice in Action. And today we are joined by a group of experts to discuss a captivating topic, the implementation of critical pedagogy in language teaching. Critical pedagogy, which has been extensively analyzed in works such as that of Pedraza Guinagi, has the potential to transform language learning and teaching methodologies. Throughout this episode, this passive voice will be used to emphasize the objectivity and products developed within this academic field. Dear Milena, tell me, how does critical pedagogy influence students?
Thank you, Filiberto. Critical pedagogy represents an educational approach in the need to empower students and motivate the questions according to textbook efforts. Instead of being considered simply as possible recipients, they are taught to become active participants in the learning process. This methodology was designed to address social injustice and foster change. This is why academic texts reading of this topic aim to change conventional methodologies. Furthermore, the theory is used to establish more just and equitable learning space. In the field of language teaching, this approach is considered a recourse for empowering students that they use language in meaningful and transformative ways.
Thank you so much, my friend Milena. To complement this, I would like to say that in practical terms, this means that language classroom are transformed into space for dialogue and reflection. Grammar and vocabulary are represented through topics that are meaningful to students. Debates around social uses are encouraged. Reading texts are carefully chosen to represent a variety of perspectives. Listening and comprehension skills are supported through analysis of real news stories and speeches. My colleague Alejandra, I invite you to complement the information, please.
Practice continues to perfect both pronunciation and intonation. Student autonomy is valued and learning that occurs outside the school environment is encouraged. Students explore new study strategies. Evaluation of progress is carried out not only by the teacher, but also by the students themselves. In writing, grammar and punctuation standards are implemented to ensure clarity. Finally, I invite my colleague Marian to summarize all the information and determine the key points.
Given the points presented and discussed, it can be inferred that critical pedagogy in language teaching encompasses not only the acquisition of skills, but also their use for personal and social empowerment. Students are provided with a critical perspective related to language learning. Thanks to critical pedagogy, their ability to communicate about complex issues is fostered, and language proficiency is seen as a tool that promotes social change. With this, we conclude our episode. We thank our team for sharing their experience. See you the next time.
The way critical pedagogy can reform classrooms has been examined in depth. The focus is not only on the acquisition of competencies but also on the use of language as a means means of individual and collective empowerment. Students are provided with a critical framework that enables them to learn a language, while simultaneously stimulating their ability to engage in conversations about complex uses. Language proficiency is perceived as a resource that drives transformations in society. Continue, please, my dear Milena.
Academic literature frequently calls for questioning traditional methodologies. Through the theory of critical pedagogy, the goal is to create more equitable and just learning environments. Students are not seen as mere passive recipients but are taught to be active participants in the learning process. This approach aims to confront social injustice and foster change.
Thank you for your intervention, college. In practice, language classes become platforms for dialogue and introspection. Grammar and vocabulary are introduced throughout topics relevant to students. Discussion of social uses is encouraged. Reading materials are carefully selected to include a diversity of viewpoints. And listening and comprehension skills are reinforced throughout analysis of real news reports and speeches. Dear Alejandra, you can continue, please.
Students' autonomy is valued, promoting learning outside the classroom setting. Students are encouraged to discover new study techniques. Progress is assessed not only by the instructor but also by the students themselves. Likewise, grammar and punctuation standards are applied in writing to ensure clarity.
Thank you, Alejandra. From the point schools, it can be deduced the critical pedagogy in language teaching involves not only the development of competencies but also their application of for personal and social empowerment. This approach encourages students to communicate on complex uses and language proficiency is seen as a tool for promoting social change. As a result, a configuration of the educator's role in anticipate towards that of a facilitator rather than a mere authoritarian. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your attendance to this podcast. Bye bye. Have a good day. Thank you.